This podcast is brought to you by LMU Munich.
Hello everybody, welcome. Our topic is because web testing IP should be easy. And this is Vilibald. So enjoy.
It's too early for the applause. Hello, my name is Vilibald, and I'm going to talk about the web API testing. So maybe before I start, it's like, who's dealing here with the APIs? As in creating one based on HTTP and running on web? Not so many. All right. So it might be new to me. So first, a little bit about me. This is not relevant anymore. I don't work in API. I used to work there. We were acquired by Oracle, so now I'm Oracle employee. Anyway, I'm dealing with the web APIs for quite a long time. Started in late 90s doing C and C++ and a little bit of Python. And I spent too much time with the APIs, and I hope that this talk will give you a little bit of food for thought how to approach them. So first I'm going to define what I'm going to talk about, because when I say web APIs, a lot of people see a lot of different things. Then what the API really is, like from the conceptual level, then how you actually test it, or what you're supposed to test, and then I'm going to talk about the open source tool we have created in API to actually help you with this. And of course there'll be a demo. I'm not sure, I'm okay if you ask questions straight away. Yeah, so don't hesitate and don't wait till the end, because there might not be enough time. So what I'm not going to talk about. Not SOAP. Who remembers SOAP, by the way? Oh, you're lucky. Oh, just one. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be covered here. Then don't know RPC. That's a different topic. It's basically going to be about HTTP-based, sort of RESTful. Not everybody. Everybody's thinking that they are doing RESTful stuff, but they are not. But that's okay. So what the API is. From my point of view, it always is and always has been a contract. That I request something, or I ask you in the correct manner and you give me the result. Whatever that is. And sorry, excuse me. So when I request something from the server and it's a valid request, I should receive a valid response. So now, but this, I guess from everybody's experience, is very often you sort of ask something and you hope that you get the stuff you want, and you have no idea what the return code might be, so you guess, okay, it seems all right, and then you go forward. Then somebody on the server side changes it a little bit, and your client is broken because some of the promises made earlier are broken. So APIs are basically contracts, and so they should be honored, right? So what's the rule number one when you deal with contracts? Anybody lawyer here?
We follow it.
You follow it?
Yeah.
No. You get it in writing, right? You get it in writing before you start doing anything. Because otherwise somebody will change his mind, change it on the way, and so on, and it will break again. So rule number one, you don't have to remember any other rules. That's the most important one. Yeah. So, how are contracts written? Well, you choose your text editor, Emacs, I hope, nothing else. Then some format, something, you write it down, and you publish it, and then you stick to it. And hopefully it will bring you some benefits. So what are the ways how you describe these APIs in the web world? So there's, let's say, 3 formats nowadays in use. One is API Blueprint, The other one is Swagger or Open API Spec. Have you heard about it? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, Swagger? Cool, at least somebody. So raise your hand if you know Swagger at least. Quite a few, good. Like 1/3. Good. So the other, that's API Blueprint. That was what we designed in Apiary. It's Markdown based. I think it's very simple to use. You just basically describe if examples. It has a little bit of structure, but you put it there, and you generate documentation out of it, mock servers, and so on and so on. There's a lot of stuff what you can do with it. But that's the thing you do before you even start working on any code. So then there's the Swagger Open API Spec. That's YAML based. You don't want to write these things by hand, I think. But, well, at the end I'll show a demo where I've got the same thing written in both. And then there's another one which is also YAML based, and it's RAML. I'm not going to talk about that one. So now you've got the contract, right? You've got it in writing. So now how you verify it? You basically need to somehow look at what's written in the file and verify that everything is in place, right? So how many of you are actually testing the APIs? As in headers, assertions, all the payloads and so on. Not so many. I'm wondering why not so many. Is it it's really boring, it's really annoying, and you have to work a lot. So that's what you do all the time, right?
Yeah, two-sided.
Yes. You do it for every single endpoint, for every possible request, for every possible, not possible value, but sensible values, edge cases. So you perform a request and then you verify, is the status quo what it's supposed to be? Are the headers there? All of them?
This is just a request. There's also the unit tests and the system.
Yes, there is a lot of stuff. Yes, but this is just the API. Yeah, you perform the request and you verify that you get the correct headers. Yeah, all of them are there. They have proper values and so on. A lot of stuff, and then gets to the payload. Okay, is the response correct from the headers and the status code? Yes, but schema and so on. A lot of stuff. If it's based on JSON, you probably have JSON schema, and then you want to verify that it's correct. When I was doing it, I always felt like this, right? It's no way I'm gonna survive this. So these are things what I or my friends tried. A lot of drinking, a lot of stuff. It didn't really help, right? You still have to write it, you still have to do it. So what we decided to do is to have a tool for this. We call it judge DRED. So it judges what you have. If it's correct, if it's according to what you have specified, if it's if the contract you have written, you're not breaching it. There are some other benefits when you have it in writing, because then you can, for example, mock the server side and start the client work without worrying what the server side guys are doing, because they have to follow this, right? So, any questions? No? Okay. So, here's a nice documentation. It's open source, pull requests welcome, but it's not written in Python, sorry. Yeah, it's written in an obscure thing called CoffeeScript. I was not the one who chose this language, so don't blame me. But the good thing is that what it does, it validates the headers. It depends on what's in your contract, in the file you have described, either the Swagger or the API blueprint. But it checks for the headers, it checks the status codes, it checks the payloads, and so on. So all this is done, and you don't have to worry about it. It allows hooks, as in, before, after, and so on. It's easy to use. We use it in a CI system all the time. We test when there's a pull request, it goes and it tests it. So that's very useful. For example, we used it to migrate from to AWS using the API gateway and Lambda functions from the standalone server. And it didn't break anything. It worked like a charm because we were testing all the time against this. So, and it has hooks in many languages. So Python is one of them, and you get JavaScript, Ruby, Go, and so on. It's easy to create a new one anyway. So how do they look in the Python? It's not really nice. I'll show later a better example, but here you see, I think almost all of them, where you get something called transaction, where is the request and response, and you can modify any parts of it. You can set up your database, set up a fixture, do whatever you need to get the correct environment. And it's all in Python. You don't have to worry about it. This is the link you won't know if anything goes wrong with the Python hooks. That's the place to go. I'm the author, but I'm not a maintainer anymore. So if anything's wrong, don't call me. So that's, talk is cheap. I would like to show you how it works in real life. How much time I have? Yeah, 30 minutes, so it's all good. I'll have enough time. So any questions so far? No? Okay.
I have one question. Could
Yes.
you please go back to the hooks?
Yes?
So I noticed you have like before each, and just before. What the difference?
Very simple. Before all is like before anything ever happens. That's the first thing ever.
So just before, what does...
Before, you have to specify which one you want to do, which one. I'll show it an example where you have to specify which request is the one, or the endpoint.
It's like before some particular request.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Just,
Sorry, once again?
are those all hooks that are possible?
I hope so. I'm not sure if I have written all of them, but yes. Yes. No. You have to use just one. I'll show examples where there's just using one example and then adding more and so on, making it more complex. So this is going to look ugly, but here I have a simple Django app. I got the migrations and everything done, so I'll just run it. So server is running. Is this big enough? Can everybody see it? Even at the back? Yeah? Cool. So it has no web. It's API, so there's no website to show, nothing, no UI basically. So curl is the king. So the app is running, and I just... Let me see, I think I've tried it before, yes. So it does, we got the root, it's a simple app where you have, you can post a question, give choices, and people can vote. But it's API, there's no website to go and choose whatever you want. So very simple, the root is, there's questions, I can list them now. Oh, it's plenty, sorry. Yeah, here comes Python, very handy. Who's using this Python -m JSON tool too? No? It's really best. So, as you can see, what you get is an array of questions and possible choices. Right? That's how it works. You can, let's say there's, I think number one, it's about languages. So the question is, Favorite programming language. If you want to vote, you just do post. Sorry, the wrong.
Can you put down the table of it so we can see that we're talking about it?
Okay. So
That green table, that green board.
now.
Use the buttons.
Oh, here are buttons. Nice.
Don't push the red one. Nice.
Which one is it? Is it the green one or the blue one?
Try both. Discover console.
Okay. So we can I have to look where. See this one? Not found. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I voted for Python, and you can see that there is a vote down there. There's one. Okay, I give one more. So there are 2 votes. Very simple app. And now I'll show you the description. Is it readable? Yes. So that's the API blueprint of this, where you can see that there is a root, and there's a response 200, if it's correct, and you get example. So you write down what it should look like. Yeah, then you have questions, and you can then deal with the question details. So if you do get on the question and some ID, you get this object. This is an example how it looks, JSON schema. Now you can look at the choice, and you can vote, and that's a post request, gives you 201, and that's the example again. So this is how you create a document. There's a lot of stuff what you can do. It's like specifying headers, bodies. You can create a new question again. Again, post request. What the request should look like, question, so on, response, the according response for that request. All right. In Swagger it looks terrible. It's a YAML file, so yeah, you see the difference. Like describing the API in the YAML, it's not really user-friendly. But anyway, you can generate this. A lot of people are generating this from the server side. We at Appiary think it's a wrong way to do it, because basically then the server decides what it should be, and I can change it anytime. And it's not really a contract anymore. It's like, well, that's what I'm doing, and if I break you, sorry. So now, to test all this manually would be a lot of work, right? So that's why I have the dread there. So it's easy to use. Basic dread, the file, the address of the server. I hope it runs on 8,000. I hope so. And that's it. So yeah, the server seems to be okay doing what it's supposed to do. Right? It's there. The questions, everything was tested, everything passed. Which was not supposed to happen though, because I think I made a little thing that it should break, but it didn't. So. Let me check, I've got the hooks in. Okay, funny, something funny happened. Anyway, because the one thing there's missing, I think that was maybe from cache or something, that you see there's one test failing, and you don't see really the colors, but the fail is in red, right? So pass, 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 fail, it's in red, and then the info. What's happened? So it's displaying the failed test, and I see what the request was made with all the headers and everything, and what the method, URI, so on. Now what's the expected result? What it should be. So it should look like this. The headers and the status code. As you can see, status code should have been 201, and this is what actually happened. The body looks the same. There are some extra headers, but all the necessary headers were there, but the status code is 200. So, see, it failed because the status codes are not correct. But on this, in this case, the server actually has this question. I was posting already a question there, and somebody probably did not make it correct and return just 201. It's a little bit contrived example because that's not what you usually use the hooks for, but I'm going to fix this because I know this is okay. So I don't care if it's 201 or 200. So I look at I create this file for hooks, all right? So basically a simple import, all is there. So there's a before each. I'll show a before each first, just you know. What is printing? It's printing just the names of the transactions in the document. So this is one thing you need to do to figure out like what's there. And so now the difference be that you're going to see. Okay, it's the failing test still. But anyway, there's always the info with the std out says, okay, the name of the transaction is question view, question detail, and so on. So it works. Now, what I'm going to do is fix the 200 and 201. Yeah, very simple. And over here you can see that I'm actually doing question collection. That's the name of the transaction. You can list all of them using the thread. It will list you. And here, I get the transaction. That's an object which is described in the documentation, where like what fields are there, what you can change, and so on. And here I say real status code is 200 or 201. Then I set it to 201, so it's according to the spec, and I don't care. Yeah. That's what I do, and that's what I did. And now if I run it, everything's passing, everything's green. Yeah. So this you can use. I have nothing more to show, really. I can point you to this page, get all important information. Let's read the docs and the hooks report. So, any questions? Anything more? I think.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So I've noticed if you run the threads over the API itself, it like run everything fine. But if you use this,
yes, there's something wrong with my setup. Yes.
Okay.
Something happened. I don't know how that's possible.
And the second question, so you run over blueprint specification, but what about YAML?
It's the same thing. I can show you the same thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but my question is about names. So each transaction name.
They are the same.
Same?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. They are the same. They are constructed the same way. So the Swagger document needs to have certain things which because usually the Swagger doesn't have examples, right? There are no examples. But so you can specify them with the X example something, and you get the example, and then you can test.
And one more question is not about Dread, but about blueprints. So I noticed that you describe spec as a real example. So,
Yes.
So how does it work?
Well, in first the JSON schema, for example.
So it's like just generate from the example?
Yes.
By itself? Okay.
Yeah, it's trying to figure out from because we think that like specification by example is pretty good most of the time. If it's not good enough for you, you can create the schema there. You can, instead of giving the body as an example, you can put JSON schema there.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you very much, Vilibald. Und
Yeah. Cheers.